Hey guys, Richard at Ryden's Room here. I'm doing my South Park Season 4 DVD review. Again, like Season 3, this is split into two parts because no matter how quickly I go through these, it's a lot of episodes. 17, there's no way I could do that in around like 12 minutes, which is roughly the average. So yeah, two parts. This is part one. Should put the chef Pop Fungo in, and the Maggie is Kang's daughter Simpsons one. Yeah, realised I actually have that many South Park ones left. Cartman's I'm a Little Piggy one was pretty sure I did that in season 3, and Terrence Phillip was season 2. Really, got to get some more. But yeah, Chef and Simpsons, because of course this is 2001, probably the point Simpsons was starting to go it downhill. Still funny, but you looking back at these episodes, you thought, along with the ones that are just not that good, it's just Simpsons could do better. So yeah, South Park and Simpsons go quite nicely together. Okay, so on the shift. Okay, so yeah, straight on to this episode by episode. So season 4, again, got this on DVD. In fact, I've got every DVD with the exception of season 14 because there were 2 episodes not on there, and I will not buy a complete season, which isn't complete. But I've got all the episodes recorded with the exception of 200 and 201. That'll get reviewed eventually, but I don't know, I'll just have to print out a version of the cover or something so it looks like I've got it here. Yeah, on to the beginning. The Two Fairies Taps. Great episode, and this is kind of like setting the new tone of South Park. You got kids stuff like them just doing anything for money effectively, but then a bit more like advanced. Yeah, actually, before I get into this, probably say this is the point that Matt and Trey consider South Park's gone a lot better, a lot more like grown up and mature because they start dealing with more important issues. Like, well, we'll get to them eventually. Yeah, I agree, but that's not like putting anything against series 1, 2, and 3. I mean, 3 did that sort of thing. When you just look at Chin Pokemon, they do satire, they do like mature stuff along with the silly stuff as well. So yeah, series 4 is probably where it's quite noticeable. What's also noticeable, before I forget, is this is the first series about their main female voice actress, Mary Kay Bergman, who sadly committed suicide between season 3 and 4. Her last thing was season 3 in the film. Yeah, pretty sad. And you notice the voices for the women are pretty different. I noticed it first back in 2001 with 2000, not 2001. The mayor. But yeah, now we know why. But what can you do? They obviously had to carry on. And yeah, it's noticeable at first. When you find out why, it's easy to overlook. So yeah, episode 1 is the Two Fairies Taps. Cartman obsessed with calling things tips. Got to be a reference to that unless it's something I just don't get. Yeah, of course, the big games console at the time. I didn't have one. Well, I did have a Sega console before that, but yeah, the Sega Dreamcast. They're like, I imagine, not sure what the cost was in American dollars in 2000, but probably pretty expensive, pretty high. Back in 2000, let's see, I had Game Boy Color, and the Mega Drive, and then a PC, and my brother, I think he had a PS1 by that point. But yeah, we didn't have a Dreamcast, although I know how much people wanted that console. I might have done if I was older and working perhaps, but I wasn't. But yeah, no, I got the kids' desire for that console. Yeah, they basically, Cartman loses a tooth, puts under his pillow, and gets a lot more money than expected, and decides that he should save the money for a Sega Dreamcast and then steal teeth from other kids as well when he starts getting loads of money for every tooth. So yeah, they basically pull off a Tooth Fairy racket where they basically steal teeth from other kids who've lost one, starting with Butters, and this is his series where he starts doing them as well. And yeah, Cartman's mum keeps constantly paying him loads and loads of money. No confusion why he suddenly lost hundreds of teeth in a week. It's pretty funny until she's bankrupt because the money she's giving Cartman isn't quite enough for the Dreamcast, and they realize, Cartman's mum has to tell him it's all like a story. There's no such thing as a Tooth Fairy. The others all find out the same thing as well. Kyle starts having these doubts about his existence because everything's not being real. It's pretty funny, and then you basically get this other group of kids doing the same thing, except they've been doing it for years, and lead as this Godfather type kid who's more than happy to murder people if they get in his way. It's pretty funny, and yeah, Cartman of course decides he'll be the new crime leader and cut him out. Of course, they decide to murder Kenny. But Cartman's like, nah, Kenny's not scared of you. And in the end, their whole thing gets busted by the American Dental Association, who most of them are convinced it's a giant half chicken, half squirrel that's stealing people's money. That's pretty funny. And yeah, they just fall for a blatant scam where the money gets put under a pillow, but the cops are just waiting to bust them. So yeah, the whole thing is collapses. Yeah, very, very funny. Timmy's first episode as well. What's he do? They use Timmy in his wheelchair in order to rip Kenny's teeth out, and because Kenny's teeth aren't loose, because he's got, as Cartman said, he's got poor oral hygiene, so his teeth will fall out anyway, so they're better off just stealing them. It's pretty funny. And then at the end, it turns out Timmy is also a tooth fairy as well, like one of the kids that use fake tooth fairies to steal people's teeth. Yeah, pretty good episode. Next one is incredibly funny. Cartman's silly hate crime. He gets mad and in his usual ways of being a dick, throws a rock at Token. He gets mad at Token about how fat his ass is, even though that's a good thing for their sledding. Yep, Token gets injured, and then the FBI arrests Cartman for committing a hate crime. It's incredibly funny because Cartman wasn't committing a hate crime, Cartman was just being an idiot. Even Token didn't want him to go to prison, especially when it costs him the chance of winning the sled contest against the girls. And yeah, Cartman gets thrown in prison. The kids have to appeal to the government about how all crimes are hate crimes when you think about it. And then Cartman gets let out after forming a friendship with this kid called Romper Stomper, who originally treats Cartman badly but Cartman passes the first test by admitting he doesn't like Animaniacs, because the type of person you are is one who likes or doesn't like the Animaniacs. Great stuff. Everyone loved the Animaniacs when we were younger. Maybe Matt and Trey didn't. Who knows? But yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, they let Cartman out. He ends up winning the sled race after using Romper Stomper's stilts to injure the girls on their sled, and one of them gets eaten by a bear. So, great episode. And yeah, Token, or Tolkien, I suppose we should be calling him now. Makes me wonder if they're ever going to reprint this box set, because apparently his name was Tolkien all along. So I should have a spoiler for the latest episodes, but what can you do? I'll put it into the title. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, great episode. It's incredibly funny how, OTT everything is, Cartman throwing a rocket at a kid is because he's black. No, the only people Cartman really hates are hippies. He says it himself. Next episode is Timmy 2000. Now this is a genuinely good one. It's also what he represents. So Timmy is a kid. He's in a wheelchair. Big disabilities. All he can really do is say his own name or a couple of other things here and there, like live a lie. I don't know why he says living a lie, but he does. It's mostly just Timmy. Occasionally he says something else. But yep, I remember Timmy is awesome. He's just such a good character. And what Matt and Trev even said about Timmy is, and then same thing with Jimmy, the next series, you just got treat them like normal people. They may be handicapped. Some people might laugh at them, but it's crueler to hide handicapped people away, pretend they don't exist. And yeah, that's right. The kids, maybe they find Timmy's handicapped funny, that, like the nurse says in the previous episode, kids just laugh at things they understand to help them learn better. And yeah, same sort of thing with Timmy. Just treat him like a normal guy, and which he is. He's part of the group. Hell, he's a fake tooth fairy in one episode and becomes a band's lead singer. And yeah, you get Phil Collins in this episode as the guest celeb who's angry. And yeah, apparently the reason for this is because it's nothing personal against Phil Collins. It's just that what with his song from Tarzan winning the Oscar for best song, instead of blaming Canada from the film, they needed to take it out on someone. And they have Phil Collins represent the people who think handicapped people should be hidden away just because their feelings could get hurt if you expose them to the real world. And yeah, it's the wrong attitude, clearly. And Timmy's such a great character. It's probably that Timmy's success is why they create Jimmy in the next series as well. But yeah, great episode. Timmy basically just forms a band. The original lead guitarist walks out because it's clear Timmy is the main focus. Timmy gets all the chicks, as he says. Then Phil Collins convinces him to walk out in his band, but yeah, he returns, and so that Timmy does care about the band. The band's meant to be called Timmy and the Lord of the Underworlds, and Timmy actually says the band's full names. Yeah, it's got a sweet ending, and yeah, everyone enjoys Timmy's band playing more than Phil Collins. It's everyone's out taking Ritalin. And then, that's the only way they realise they like Phil Collins' music. It's the worst thing possible. What the hell were we thinking? So yeah, great episode. And again, it's a great message in that one as well. Quintuplets is a good one. I tended to skip this a bit when I was younger. It's not one I normally go back to, especially when it's on... No, Super was never on Netflix. I don't know why. But yeah, basically, Quintuplets is somewhat relevant to real life stuff, except this is Romania. The quintuplets get rescued from Romania, and of course the Romanians just take shots at each other repeatedly. There's no war or anything, but it's more just any way to get one over on the other side. The quintuplets are these adorable kids, so they end up staying at Stan's house after their grandma dies. She has a heart attack after a night with Stan's grandpa. It's so terrible. What's more terrible is Randy's way of breaking the news to the kids. Raise your hand if you have a grandmother. Not so fast, girls. It's so bad. That's how he breaks the news of their grandmother's death. But yeah, they stay there. The Romanian government, seeing the Americans taking the piss out of Romania every time. Romania, the asshole of the world, etc. Demand they get returned. Their deadbeat dad gets brought back, got into their life, end up with a gun at his head, and the camera tells about how much he loves his kids. Americans don't want them to go. But yeah, they get taken anyway. And the other plot is Kenny, apparently the reason the boys try and open this circus, and they're convinced the reason they're all so terrible is because Kenny's a bad singer. So Kenny goes to Romania with his mum to be a great singer, and of course, naturally, the Americans start throwing their weight around. They're like, "Yep, Kenny must come back," and his dad just says he doesn't care about Kenny at all, just has a speech around she loves his son and wants him back, so he'll get a new car. And someone in the American government just smacks him across the head with a rifle. It's great fun watching Romania and America take all these shots at each other. Yeah, pretty good episode. It is a good one, just not one I would go back to often. Now this one I do. Cartman joins Nambla from episode 5. And this one, I couldn't believe Nambla was real when I first heard about this. Maybe it's because it's not as big in England. I mean, North American, it's obviously a North American thing. But yeah, Cartman decides he's more mature than his friend, so he's telling his beloved stuffed animal frog about this, of course, because Cartman doesn't have any real friends and isn't as mature as he thinks. He goes into a chat room, men who like young boys, and some of these paedophiles that get arrested. One of them is Mr. Garrison as well. Finds this group called Nambla, and he just thinks that these guys just want to be his friend. They make him the poster boy. Cartman then asks to invite all of his other male friends, with the exception of Stan and Kyle, of course. Stan and Kyle get in anyway, and then they soon find out what these guys don't want to be their friends. It's incredibly funny. And then you get another Nambla, the North American Marlon Brando lookalikes, which is one Cartman meant to join because Dr. Mephisto, after telling Cartman he can't just create friends for him, invites him to go there, which he does. And it all ends this hilarious chase sequence. And the other plot is Kenny's mum and dad decide to have another child. Kenny doesn't want it, so he decides to do anything to stop his mum getting pregnant or give her an abortion. Ends up chasing her with a plunger in the end after his dad suffers abortion pills. It's so damn funny. And in the end, the real Nambla guys get arrested. So their leader tries to weasel out, but nope. Kids may be tolerant of gay people or other people they're discriminated against, but not guys who are blatantly paedophiles. But yeah, it's just amazing to think that Nambla is actually real, and these group exists. So great episode, and it's just so damn funny watching Cartman. I have no idea what he's really joining up for. Great episode, and it will come back later. Mr. Garrison getting arrested as well. So yeah, Chef goes nanas. This is probably the bigger one for when they talk about issues and real life stuff. Chef is protesting the South Park flag because it's a bunch of white people hanging a black person. And then you got Jimbo protesting Chef's protest because he thinks it may be racist, but it's still part of their history and you shouldn't change something like that. And they even reference Cleveland Indians who had theirs changed last year. I was wikiing this earlier. It's quite a good episode, and it's just incredibly funny stuff in there. Like Chef decides to set himself on fire like a monk did to protest something, except he doesn't. He just sets the monk on fire. And Jimbo, the KKK show up. That group has turned out to be completely insane. Jimbo and Ned join them just to convince them to say they want to keep the flag as it is, change the flag, because people will do the opposite of what the KKK want. It's pretty funny, and the other plot is the kids are having to do a report on whether they should change the flag or not. And the kids just don't get this to racism. They just think people are protesting, that someone's being hanged. And it's quite a sweet ending when the kids are so, as Chef puts it, so unracist, don't even realise that's what the whole thing is about. And it's pretty good. In the end, the flag does get changed, but they just simply change the colours. So it's a mixture of people hanging the black guy, and one of the hangers is black as well. So it makes sense. South Park is just full of idiots who wouldn't want to change their flag from something that's truly terrible, but make Jimbo and Chef have a compromise. So it's a good one. Oh, and the other plot is Wendy starts developing feelings for Cartman. It's completely insane. And Wendy starts, and she kisses Cartman full on in front of everyone during the meeting, and the whole way through. Not the meeting where they're giving their case for changing or keeping the flag the same. And Stan has got this look of complete horror on his face while Cartman is just enjoying every minute of it. But it's quite sad in the end. It turns out it was just solely a sexual tension thing of, as Bebe says, with working together. And you feel bad for Cartman, but it kind of has to be done. Cartman, without these sad moments, will just be a complete monster. So and it kind of ties in later why Cartman is quite bad to Wendy as well. It seems to stem from there. So really good episode. Next one is something you can do with your finger. You've probably seen this in later episodes, the finger bang episode. Cartman realises his new way to become rich is to form a boy band. And of course, it's terrible. And first he wants just 4 of them, but they follow the rules of 5 members, like all pop groups. And that 5th member turns out to be Wendy, as long as they have something to cover a huge hooters, as Cartman calls them. So yeah, they make the band naturally really, really bad. Cartman discovers the way to make money is just have girls screaming in the videos. They do all of that. Actually get a gig at the South Park Mall. And of course, things just go wrong the whole way through. Kenny gets killed. So, yeah, it turns out Randy, Stan's dad, used to be in a boy band and had his life ruined by it completely. He got too old to be a boy band at age 19. He lasted about a year. And yeah, he ended up joining the band. Yeah, it's a good episode. It's quite surprising that Randy Marsh was a boy band member. And yeah, it makes sense. Obviously, not all boy bands have their careers end when they're 19 years old, but yeah, the way he mentions how him and other boy band groups like New Kids on the Block had their lives ruined, yeah, it's quite a sad one in that sense. But yeah, it's quite good. And Fingerbang comes back up later, which is pretty cool. Oh, and Fingerbang can't think to do with her using your fingers like a gun, so that's pretty funny. And I'll just do 2 more episodes in this review and then I'll end it because this is a 2-parter. This is the next 2 parts since that well, he said the last one was a 3-part, but it was sort of connected. This is Do the Handicap Go to Hell and Probably. So yeah, Do the Handicap Go to Hell. All the kids suddenly find out that they're going to go to hell if they don't improve their behaviour. They need to confess all their sins, go to church all the time. Basically, the priest just uses a scare tactic on all the kids to make them go to church more. It's everyone knows it's all lies, but the kids naturally all buy into it completely. And Cartman, of course, basically goes all in on it. But it turns out he realised none of that was true, and it's just they form their own religion because they find the priest having sex with some woman in the confession box and realise the priest is going to go to hell. So yeah, they decide to save everyone, and Timmy, who can't say his name, can only say his name, has no hope of confessing, and Kyle and Ike, being Jewish, have to be saved as well. It's all pretty funny, and at the end, the only person they're willing to listen to is Jesus. Jesus shows up and tells the kids the truth, and yeah, they basically all listen to him. Cartman's scam completely falls apart because he admits it was all lies. He knew this would just be a perfect con. Again, this theme of series 4 is Cartman desperate to make money, millions of dollars, and this was his perfect way. Once everyone starts donating, keep the money for himself. It's just perfect. He's waiting for him to start asking for the hand the collection plate round, etc. And yeah, the other part of this is the whole in hell bit. Saddam Hussein, who Satan killed in the film, of course, returns to hell a few days later. Convinced, tells Satan how he's changed now. Of course, he hasn't. Chris has got his Satan's got this very wimpish new boyfriend called Chris, but of course Satan is still in love with Saddam Hussein, and Chris is just a worthless boyfriend. He's not tough at all. He's way too trusting and forgiving when Satan even cheats on him. And in the end, Satan has to actually go to heaven and talk to God, who makes him see sense. Just tells Satan, just leave both of them. You're just too desperate to be in a relationship, which he does. And yeah, it's quite funny. In the end, Saddam, gets sent to heaven because the only people in heaven are Mormons. God lets only Mormons into heaven. Everyone else goes to hell. Early in the episode, you see thousands of new people arrive in hell. All of them are good people, but they're not Mormons. So yeah, all the Mormons are just overly nice, or where Saddam Hussein gets stuck with. Okay, so that's the end of this review. It's about halfway through. More than halfway, 10 out of 17, but good interesting points. Yeah, next episode coming up.